Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have another Hellraiser review from this box that I'm currently working my way through. We're on number 4 of the franchise. That movie is called Hellraiser Bloodline, or just Hellraiser 4 Bloodline. This cover that I have on my thumbnail, that I just had that you clicked on to find the video, that particular one is the poster of the movie that I saw all the time when I used to go to Hollywood Video, or my family rented movies instead of Blockbuster Video. And I used to see this cover all the time, and I knew I wasn't allowed to see those movies. My mom wasn't a fan of me seeing these until I got much older, into my late teens, 16, 17 years old. And I knew of Pinhead. I didn't know much about him, though. But that poster always stole my soul, basically. So, oddly enough, like I said, between Part 2 and Part 3, there were 4 years. There's also 4 years between Part 3 and this movie. This one came out in 1996. Yeah. Rated R, about an hour and 20 minutes. Not a very long movie at all, and that's cool with me because it ain't great. It's kind of like a sort of anthology movie. It's directed by Kevin Yeager, a very famous makeup artist who's not really directed much. I think this is like the second thing he ever directed. Maybe the first, I don't know. He's worked on Tales of the Crypt, he's worked on Nightmare on Elm Street, he's worked on a lot of really great stuff. And he seems like a cool guy. In interviews I've always seen, Kevin Yeager is a horror community legend, if you will. Now, Hellraiser Bloodline, what is this one about? Well, you might know it as the one that takes Hellraiser or Pinhead or the Cenobites or the Box or any of this garbage to space. Yes, it is the Jason X of these movies. I don't know which one came first, this or Jason X. I think this one came first. It might be the first of the series movies to do that. I don't think Leprechaun went to space until this happened. Leprechaun might have been to space before Jason X. I don't know. It's been a while. I don't know what year that came out. Anyway, Bloodline. This one, again, is kind of an anthology. It kind of takes place in 3 different time periods. The very, very, very past, the current day present for when this came out in the 90s, and then in the future in 2127. Now, the wraparound story is mainly focused about the future, the science fiction focused thing, which is weird. Of course, the third film really pissed a lot of fans off because it went more of a slasher direction. In my personal opinion, I loved Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth when I just reviewed it. I thought it was really good when I watched it yesterday. Very fun, very filled with puns and silly and goofy in a lot of great, wonderful ways. This movie tried very hard to do something different, and I admire it to that, to an extent. But for the most part, I think it's kind of a mess, a little bit. The anthology thing is kind of a cool idea of having the past, the present, and the future. It's kind of cool when it comes to symbolically what the box and hell and all of these things are like. I kind of dig that. I kind of like that to an extent. A lot of this movie is following the bloodline, as the title says, or the subtitle says, of Le Merchant, who was the Frenchman who made, as a toy maker, the original puzzle box that was then used for all of this evil. So we're following 300 years, or 120, I don't know how long it was ago. Everybody's wearing powdered wigs and that kind of garbage in this movie. In that past setting, we also get introduced to a newer demon entity we've never known before in these movies named Angelique, and the actress who plays her is not only beautiful, but she is fantastic. She is really good. She, as Angelique, is Doug Bradley playing Pinhead. The makeup might not be as iconic, but it's still pretty cool once we see that. Anyway, she's just kind of a young woman type of thing that was brought into a royal family with Adam Scott, of all people. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. The future storyline, being the kind of wraparound and the finale of the movie, is really telling the story of this bloodline, of the man that a group of like government agents or something have captured him on a ship by himself. He sent his crew away. He's on this big space shuttle thing by himself. He just used a robot android thing to play with the puzzle box and to summon Pinhead into space, into his spaceship. I know it sounds dumb, I know. So as he's getting caught, he tells the story of the past, trying to rush these people over the course of a freaking hour that he tells them, while Pinhead is wandering around the spaceship. He warns them for about an hour of the story of his bloodline, about the puzzle box, all these things, the legend of Le Merchant's box, which is also called Lament Configuration, or Lament Box. But he's telling the story about his past, and how it followed all the way through his history. Could have been like a 10-minute story, had to be an hour. Leading up to that last 25 or so minutes long finale in the future. So we kind of, again, have that past story being back in the day, the introduction of Angelique, how she's made, how she becomes a Cenobite or whatever, and how her and basically the toy maker, Le Merchant, what their history is like. Well, that situation goes on, Le Merchant survives. She survives too, of course, she doesn't age or anything like that. Time goes on, we make it to modern day, where the building at the end of Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, the reveal of the building with all the puzzle box symbology on the walls inside of the main lobby of that building. We follow to the fellow who is the architect of that building. He's a descendant of the fellow who made the original puzzle box, which is interesting because at the end of Hellraiser 3, that box is put into the ground where this building location is currently starting. And it's just interesting how fate works in these movies. Now, going to the present day setting, we have the architect of that building, we have his wife and his kid. The wife, I'm fairly certain, is from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. That must be why Kevin Yeager was in this, or had her in this, I don't know. She kind of looks like Meryl Streep. That was the reason she was cast in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Just in case you didn't know that fun fact, I think it was from Never Sleep Again that I heard that, the documentary on those movies. So, to me, the past storyline is okay. The present storyline is probably the decent one for me, mainly because it feels like modern day and it feels like it's got the most decent budget. It's fairly decent to watch. It's fun. Each of these sections of the movie, the past, the present, and the future, are all about a half an hour apiece. The future storyline, the one that is the man telling, as a descendant of the Le Merchant puzzle, bloodline, whatever they are, this whole storyline with him and telling his past history, it's very weak. The finale is weak in my opinion. It's so goofy, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Mainly because the budget, even though this was the last of the theatrical releases, and even to this day with the new reboot coming out that's going straight to Hulu, this is the last ever release that ever went to theaters for Hellraiser. And it's weak when it comes to budget and everything. There's a lot of problems with the restraint on that, but there are some pluses in here. I don't want you to think it's a complete loss. It's just kind of a mess. It's kind of a stupid mess. I wish we'd gotten another movie that tied into this building thing. Maybe the whole building summoned Pinhead or something. I wish we had had that instead. And just had another slasher movie taking place in modern day, kind of a club scene type of thing, just like Part 3 had. I wish we went more for that route. We did not go for that route. The kind of direction they went here, in my opinion, is a massive misstep. However, Kevin Yeager also disowned the movie. When it was originally released, it was directed by Alan Smithee, which is the Screenwriters Guild, fake name, the pen name for that, when somebody doesn't want to take credit for a really bad movie. It's kind of sad that Kevin Yeager had to go through that. But anyway, Kevin Yeager claims that the movie was much better the way he made it, the way it had a lot more blood, that Pinhead would be introduced way later on in the movie, and that didn't happen. And I think maybe there was a chance that could have been really nice, because I really liked this Angelique girl. Not only, again, is she beautiful, but she's a fantastic actress. I think she's one of the highlights of this movie, alongside things like the practical effects and whatever. But let's get into the characters. I kind of talked about some brief ones here. Angelique. Doug Bradley's here playing Pinhead. He's not as good as he was in Part 3 or even the first two, but he's doing okay. He hasn't really hit that I'm done with this, even though in all 8 of the movies that he did play Pinhead, I think he really seemed to care and tried, to take something from a bad script and do something good with it. I can only imagine what he thought when he saw the script for this movie. Anyway, the characters in here are typically played by different people every time. I'm fairly certain, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain the guy playing Le Merchant from the original past storyline, I think he and the guy playing him in the present day setting are the same guy. I could be wrong, I'm bad with faces. I'm just one of those people. I'm not face blind entirely, but I'm fairly certain it's the same guy. I think he does a decent job. I think his wife, the actress from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I think she does a good job. The kid, I'm fairly certain, is the kid from the Shining TV movie. And I love the Shining TV movie, and I even like him there. But he's in here, he doesn't have much speaking line. I think a lot of people that hated him there in the Shining TV movie will like him a lot more here. They're all fine, they all did a good job. Let's see. There's a couple of other people in the present day setting, particularly 2 twin security guards who kind of become more interesting as the movie goes along. I like them a lot. I thought they were really solid for what they had to do as kind of the goofy cop characters from Halloween 5 type of situation. It kind of worked for me. I don't really have much to say about the writing of this movie. It already, as you can tell, it's a sloppy movie. I think it's a bad idea, bad concept. Interesting, don't get me wrong, with the whole past, present, future storyline. Interesting, kind of a neat idea, but it doesn't really work. It feels more like an anthology type of thing. Maybe that'll appeal to more people, I don't really know. I don't even know if I'm going to add this to my anthology playlist on YouTube. I might, I don't know, but on my channel I might have this in the playlist there. But still, the writing of the movie, it ain't great. You kind of feel like at some points you're kind of watching the same thing over 3 times, but you're kind of not. The way each of the segments kind of end, that's a little bit different. The execution's a little bit different. It's kind of fairly interesting. It's fairly entertaining, and I hate to seem like I'm just trashing it left and right. Yes, it's a mess, but yeah, it kind of has my interest sometimes, not by much. The cinematography and everything, the directing and all of that, they're fine. They're really kind of the roughest so far of the entire series up to this point. I don't know about the future ones. There are ones like Revelations I don't remember. There are ones like Hellseeker I'm about to watch and I don't remember. I've already watched Inferno. I'm not skipping Inferno, just so you know. To me, this is probably one of the, at this current point, the first 4, this is one of the weakest looking movies. Directing all of that in a while. I don't know about the whole franchise overall. I guess I'll decide when I do my ranking video, but still, when we go to the practical effects and the CGI, there's a lot more CGI in this movie than there was in the previous films, and that really, really harms it. Now, there's no way they could have done it without it, you know? Especially with how big the spectacle is supposed to be for this movie. When the practical effects are there and the makeup and everything for people like Doug Bradley, Angelique, when all of those things are there, they look fantastic. There's a beheading scene in this movie that looks fantastic. Actually, there's like a couple of those, but both of them look really solid, even though one's kind of confusing and one's really horrifying. There's some cool stuff, even down to the space futuristic storyline. There's some cool stuff there that I enjoyed. Most of the time, though, it's kind of weak. The whole movie, just overall. And it's kind of dull. It's not even boring. It's just kind of dull and kind of empty. Soulless, if you will. But the practical effects, in my opinion, look really good. I would not be surprised if Kevin Yeager was involved with that as much as his hands would have been busy with the actual movie itself directing it. But the practical effects look good. The CGI is very dated. Very, very dated. To me, even though Hellraiser 1 and 2 came out quite a bit before this movie, I think they have better special effects than this movie does. When it comes to the CGI, like the lightning drawing around the box and stuff in the first 2 movies when somebody would touch it and they'd get zapped, that kind of thing looked better in those movies than in here. What else is there really to talk about? I guess the music on my list here. The music, I talked about in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, how I liked how the music was not only the original score for the first 2 movies, but also you had like a modern day kind of like rock soundtrack to it that really pulled through, and it really, really worked. This movie keeps that opera feel to the music, the texture of it, if you will, the atmosphere to the movie. A lot of the time, though, if they're not playing that, they're not doing anything. There's really no music aside from that. And having a space anthology movie talking about the past, the present, and the future, but having that kind of music, it kind of adds this destiny, and again, kind of a fate thing to it, and that's kind of nice. It kind of works as a small subtlety, but I'm not really impressed with it, as you know. The movie's a mess. Let me be honest with you, the movie kind of sucks. I think most people are on the place of, if a slasher series takes somebody to space, it's probably going to be bad, or at least bad entertaining, you know, something like that. I didn't hate this movie, let me tell you that. I have moments to it that I relatively enjoyed. When the gore's there, I'm very, very interested. It has its moments. There's one particular thing in this movie that really shocked me, is that Pinhead has a dog. Yeah, and I'm not meaning like a regular old dog either. It's kind of cool how this is modeled after a specific Cenobite, and I thought that was kind of nice. If you haven't seen the movie, you're in for a surprise with that. It's kind of cool. Anyway, when it comes to Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, I'm not overly in love with the movie, if I'm being honest with you. Out of the original 4, I think this is the weakest, possibly. It might be the weakest of the series for me, I don't know yet. A lot of people really hate those direct-to-video films. I haven't seen them in so long, I don't remember them. Haven't even seen Judgment yet, so I'll get there when I get there. But at this current moment, this is a very weak one. It's not unwatchable, but it's not really good either. It's got its massive issues, massive, massive flaws that really affect the movie. When it comes to Hellraiser 4 Bloodline, in this pack, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would probably give it about I don't even know what I want to settle on. It's got a lot of problems. I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. I know that seems a little high, and a lot of the time I consider a 3 out of 5 more positive. I just don't think it deserves a 2 for me. I had enough investment in this and enough curiosity, having seen this one time, like 8 years ago. I had my curiosity about what was going to happen here. I didn't remember anything about it aside from the space, past, and present thing. The concept, not the moments within that. So I figured it'd be a while till I got around to really understanding what was going on here and whether I'd be invested or not. And as you can tell, I was mildly, very, very mildly entertained by this movie, even in the moments that I was making fun of it and laughing at it, which helped a lot. Anyway, what did you guys think about Hellraiser 4 Bloodline? Again, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's just barely at a 3 for me, just barely. But it might be the weakest of the series for me. I don't know. I'm not really thrilled with it. It kind of sucks. Just plain and simple kind of sucks. It's not a complete loss, but it's rarely ever good above an average, middle-of-the-road type of feel a lot of the time. Bad concept, bad execution in a lot of ways. Not an entire loss, but a loss nonetheless. Anyway, what do you think about the movie? Do you hate it? Do you love it? What are your thoughts on it? I'd be surprised if there was anybody on the entire planet that thinks this is their favorite Hellraiser movie. If that happens to be you, I would love to see you have the gall to put a comment down in the comment section down below to tell me that. Is this your worst, most hated series sequel for this movie franchise? Whatever. I would love to hear that down below too. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye.